Hi, my name is Megan Bowie, and I've been working on my master's degree at Loyola University since fall 2015. And this year in fall 2018, I completed my internship, where I kind of showcased and implemented all of the previous skills and knowledge that I've built all the way up until now. This was kind of the culminating event. So I am a fourth grade teacher at Seneca Elementary School, and the beginning of my internship really kind of started last spring in 2018. So the first thing I did was I sat down with my principal and we discussed what we thought would be a good internship. So what did we think that our staff needed in terms of technology since my master's is in educational technology? So we decided that just general technology tips and tools would be the most beneficial to our staff. And since we decided that, we wound up getting a lot of new staff members. So it was really beneficial, as well as we got an entirely new platform for all of our grades and presentation. We switched over from N grade that we had before over to a different learning management system called Schoology. So this is a Schoology group that I had already seen on Schoology. It was already made for our school. However, there were only a few members in there, and I asked my principal right away, could I become an admin on there? So that's what this little symbol means here. So I could add all of the staff members that were missing from our Schoology group, and we could have everyone with a platform all together, which is great because emails are wonderful for a time, but unfortunately they delete after a while. So having everything in one place is really helpful, and it'll give the staff the opportunity to play around and manipulate more with Schoology outside of school or outside of just their class. So when I was writing my proposal, I had to come up with who was this for, where was it going to be, what was I doing, when was I going to do this, how was I going to make all this happen, and why did I choose this? So I immediately thought it's going to be for the whole staff at Seneca. I think they all can benefit from it. It's just going to be tech tools that's really broad, but it gives me a lot of leeway of what they need, especially because there were so many new staff members at the start of the year that I had to take time to figure out what they needed as I got to know them. I decided I was going to use Schoology as well as an in-person idea to present the professional development to everyone, and that it was just going to be both online and in person, depending on what the actual PD was for the day. So the first thing that I started with was with my assistant principal, we did an optional technology PD during our pre-service week. So she presented on Kurzweil because she's the special ed chair and she is fantastic with special ed. And then I presented on VoiceThread, which was based off of something that a lot of the school leaders, the grade level leaders had said over the summer was something they found really interesting at this big blended learning institute that we went to, that there was 11 members of our school going to. They thought VoiceThread was interesting. They thought it was something they wanted to learn more about and that the staff could benefit from. So we held this for an hour. It was really brief and really kind of short and sweet to the point, especially because it was during pre-service week. And I know that teachers are just as stressed out as I was about setting up the room, but they would have the opportunity to come for a little while and get this optional PD in this technology. I only expected a few people, honestly, because of the room setup and when we had this scheduled, but I was pleasantly surprised and we wound up having several members. We had our instructional aide, we had some special areas, we had classroom teachers. It was really a better turnout than I had even expected. So then I went on to presenting Extra Math, which was our new math program that we were using in our school. It's an online program based on fluency. And our math action team, which I've been part of for years, had decided this was what we were going to use this year to build the kids' fluency because it's what we decided that they really needed. So I went through and went into the second grade, I went into the third grade, the fourth grade, the fifth grade, CIAs, which are our monthly grade level meetings, to help them set up their extra math and kind of give them a short and sweet, what is extra math? What does it use? What does it look like? How do we do it? And answer just kind of questions. I went with some examples of this work right here, kind of what it looks like in terms of on the teacher end, and showed them some of the reports that I was receiving. One of the things that they wanted was just kind of a breakdown. They wanted to know what these symbols were, so more than just me telling them in person. So I actually created an extra math cheat sheet that had the how to print the certificates. It had what every symbol meant. It had how you can modify for those students. And I posted that onto Schoology, which I saw right away that 2 people liked. So I had some people looking at it at the very least. So then I posted a little while later a Schoology update of option to print out this or create online a feedback forum sheet. So that way it was a data tracking sheet. We do feedback forum in our school once a week where we pull the kids, we work on something that maybe they struggled with, something that they were missing, and we give them feedback on it where they have the opportunity to replace their old grade. So I created a feedback forum sheet for myself and then I shared it through Schoology. However, after that, I decided it was time to reflect on this Schoology idea for my internship because I couldn't tell how many people were looking at it. I couldn't tell if people were looking at it. And unfortunately, I decided that I did not think this was the best course of action to present my internship and my PDs because I didn't know how many people I was reaching. So I had been reflecting after every single PD and everything that I accomplished in a sheet that I'll pull up in a little bit. But this was kind of a big change for me and a big kind of realization. So then I did an hour of code for STEM night. We have this STEM night at my school. This was our second year. We had just me hosting the hour of code room last year, and it wound up being over 30 students where I had to go get other devices to even be able to host it in my room. So I knew right away that I needed help this year. I needed someone else. Unfortunately, a lot of the other teachers are very overwhelmed and they describe themselves as not tech savvy. So they didn't feel comfortable doing hour of code. They didn't even feel comfortable learning hour of code, but I did have one. Brandy stepped up and said she would learn hour of code. As long as I showed her, then she would do it with me. So I actually created a opportunity that she was able to get a certificate for so she could keep it for her Jameen 4 and show how she was professionally developing herself. And this picture here is just of her working with some of the kids during the actual STEM night. She worked with a bunch of the kids. She worked with some of her own. She worked with some that weren't her own. And the kids absolutely adored it. She got really good at it. She was teaching them how to do things, and she had just learned how to code herself. She realized really quick, too, that it wasn't something that was so overwhelming when done in the right format. So code.org was really easy to do. The coding blocks are already put together. It's not just complete code where you're starting from scratch. And she wound up loving it and talking about the opportunity. And she was planning on implementing it in her room at other times too, because she found it so neat and fascinating. So then I sat down with my stat teacher and we thought of what can we do as a PD in person because Schoology was kind of out in my mind to present a PD on now of what could they do, what would be helpful for the staff. So we decided that engagement was something that the staff needed. It was something that they wanted. So we were like, okay, well, let's figure out which engagement tools we can use. So we went on classtools.net and that my stat teacher already had. And we went through and we picked 4 different engagement technology tools. So we picked Powtoons, Voki, Answer Garden, and Dot Storming. And then we created this cheat sheet that we could use. And this was our plan for presenting the actual PD. And then over here is just what we had decided we were going to create because we needed to have a takeaway. I wanted a reference sheet for the teachers to have and be able to look at later, especially because it's something that sometimes when you present too much information or if you present new information, the teachers that especially feel that they aren't tech savvy get very overwhelmed and won't implement the technology just because of that. So we created why it might be used, how it might be used. We also went through and came up with some examples of why some teachers might use it to kind of get their wheels turning in their head and get an idea. So I created a answer garden with my class ahead of time that I shared with all of the teachers that came to the PD. And they had the chance to type in multiples of 4. My students did a pretty good job. I wound up, has blank space because I had to delete several multiples. It was just a quick engagement tool that they figured out really quick was something neat, something easy, and something that they loved doing. So then we created a Voki, my stat teacher and I, where she typed in the words, we talked about it, and then she sent it out to the staff members. So a Voki is something that, if I click on it right here, it talks when you play it, you type it in, and then we play that for the staff at our actual PD, but we embedded that, or rather put the link in an email, so that was the actual invitation. So they just clicked on it, and it starts talking to whatever you typed in. So then after that, I actually had one of the second grade teachers who attended the PD. She created a Voki afterwards of the objectives. So that was really cool to see her using it. And it was really neat that she used that for her objective. Honestly, it wasn't even a way that we had planned. So it showed that not only did she take something away, but she thought even further on it because that wasn't one of our suggestions that even we had come up with for how to use the resource. So then after and during the actual internship, I created a website that housed my portfolio. So it has all of my key concepts and then it has my internship portfolio. So my internship portfolio has an overview of what actually was the internship. It has my proposal inside. It has a picture of some of the products that I created and that others created. These ones right here were actually created by other teachers. So to show that they were using extra math and using what I presented to them. And then I have everything in here. I also have pictures of the process. I have pictures of cupcakes because that's what I did as incentives. I bought bagels and provided breakfast for the Tech Tools PD for the engagement pieces, and I provided cupcakes, which wound up being a huge hit. And I wish I would have thought of it earlier, to be honest, but it went over really, really well. I have videos on here. And then I have the reflections that after every single PD that I presented, I went on and I completed a reflection on a Word document. I created what I thought went well, and then I made a plan for the future or just like little tips here and there reflecting on it. So after each one that I completed, and then I put some of the key concepts that highlighted things from my internship into my portfolio. So there are 5 key concepts that illustrate my internship, and those are all in one place. So that is my portfolio. This is my internship that was my culminating event for all of the hard work and strategies that I've learned and all of the things over the years coming to, I guess, a conclusion for Loyola. I also have on here my pre-internship portfolio as well with key concepts as my internship portfolio.